Hey guys, thank you for tuning in to our Wednesday night devotion. I hope all of you are having an incredible week. I know that there's a little chill in the air. It's fall in the air. It's starting to feel, like the holidays, like Thanksgiving. I hope you guys have some incredible plans for Thanksgiving and for Christmas. And I know that it may be different this year, but uh, again, hope that you have some fun things planned. Just hang out with your family, relax. Amen. So, hey, Paige, thank you for tuning in. And hey, Philip, I don't have any good jokes, but you're going to have to share some with me tonight. So, how about that? Hey, Kathy, thank you for tuning in. Hey, Joanne, man, I miss you, Joanne. Thank you for watching. I heard some very good reports about Sunday night with Matthew Price, and I think they had a really good time with the young adults, 18 to 30-year-olds. I heard that they had about 30 to come. So that's awesome. That's fantastic. So, hey, Pam, thank you for tuning in and for watching. And hey, Brenda Drake, thank you guys again. So, I started devotion with the basketball team. And one of the things I talked to them about today intrigued some thought with me on something I want to share with you tonight. But I just want to share just a little bit about what I shared with them. So I share spiritual things with them. I talk about the Bible. It might be a lot like what I talk about on Wednesday nights or what I might do on Sunday mornings even. But I also do things about teamwork and motivational type things as well. Today, I talked to him about having the attributes of being a winner. And I kind of used some dichotomies, some things that were, they were opposites, but the same. And what intrigued this was something I talked about to the staff meeting on Tuesday morning. This is what I said to them. Somebody that's a winner has to have confidence, but they're humble. We know what it's like for somebody to be good and it goes to their head. They got to be determined, but patient. They got to be optimistic, but realistic. They've got to be loyal to their team, but intolerant of bad behavior. They've got to be mature, but childlike. You've got to do the right things, but you got to have fun at doing it. And then the last one's what I want to talk to you about. You've got to be a good listener, but deaf to all of the noise that's out there. So I want to talk to you guys about the skill of being a good listener. By the way, the youth band is gearing up, getting ready to go for their service tonight. So you probably are hearing the bass rattling the room. So I hope that it's okay, and I hope that you can hear me okay. Maybe I need to pull the microphone. Is that better? So you guys tell me how the audio is. So, hey, George. Hey, April. Hey, Phyllis and Cindy Owens, Alan, Kathy White. Thank you guys again for tuning in. So there I go. What? Talking about me again. Well, I'm talking about me. So the audio's better, Darcy. So, okay. So, hey, Manissa. Alan says I'm good. And Nikki is saying hello from the Bible Journeying group. Hey, journaling group. Hope you're having a good time. So, hey, Glenda. Hey, Jake. Yeah, I have my own theme music. That's absolutely right. So true. Several of you are watching now. So I'm talking about being a good listener. So let me ask you guys. So you're not here so that I can see you. So I just need to see your hands if you think you're a good listener, or lower them if you think you're not. Are you a good listener? Yes. Maybe you could do a thumbs up or yes, okay, or something on your response if you think you're a good listener. Now, if you think that you could be a better listener, could you improve your listening skills? If that's you, just say that's me. How many believe? Just raise a hand. Maybe in your response, you know that you could be a better listener. So, and let's do it like this. So, one, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 is a very, very bad listener. 10 is a very, very good listener. Where are you on the scale? Just somebody in the room, look to them and maybe they can just tell you. So several people are telling me that they could be better listeners, right? Need improvement, right? That's what Nancy says. That's me too. Kathy says she's a 5. Oh, we got lots of 5s. Vicky says that she's a 5. A 7. Alan says he's a 7. Tammy Harris, an 8. Wow, that's cool. I think in what Tammy's doing with the ministry here at church, she has to be a good listener. And their page goes, she says that she is a 10. I guess when you've been through the things that she's been through, it makes you a better You guys see what I'm going through. Darcy says she's a 1. Don't believe that. She's not a 1. She's a much better listener than that. Don says he's a 4. Oh, come on, Don. You're better than a 4. So I hear you guys. So you guys, thank you for responding. So I was listening to Focus on the Family about this guy was preaching about how to be a better listener. And George says, April says he's a 10, but only a 5 when listening to her. I love it. Terry Lee says an 8. That's cool. And I believe it. I think you guys are really seeing yourselves correctly in a lot of ways. I can see that with your personalities and who you are. All but my wife. Come on, she's too hard on herself. But when I was listening to Focus on the Family, they said these are different kind of listeners. So you've determined what you are on the scale, 1 to 10 on a listener. I want you to, if you've got something to write with, or you can put it in your smart device or whatever, when some of these are you, I just want you to put them down. If you feel comfortable putting them on the comments, on the chat, you can do that as well. That's okay with me, but you don't have to do that. But here's 16. I added 1 or 2 of my own, but here's the things that they mentioned. These are the kind of listeners. And here's the first one, the nodder. When you talk to them, they're just nodding. It's so distracting, right? I mean, they're overly doing it. I mean, maybe they've heard something about responding. I think there's a balance to the nodding. When somebody talks to you and they got the right nod, it's so engaging, but when they over nod, so it's the nodder. Or the eye roller. They just are rolling their eyes. They automatically tune you out, cut you out. Or the laugher. They always have like this nervous laugh, or they laugh sarcastically. I certainly do that when there's the laugher where they have this laugh. And sometimes with your spouse, it's to set them off. But other times there's just these people that has these nervous laughs and they just laugh the whole time. It's distracting. Or the eye wanderer. They're just they never look at you. They're looking at everywhere. Their eyes are just wandering. Or the bored. They're just bored with your conversation. You can tell that they're bored with, what you're saying. Are the distracted. Just squirrel, they're always distracted by something. I mean, it's like any kind of noise, any kind of movement, and they're distracted. Or the watch glancer. As persons, they don't listen to you. They're constantly looking at their watch, right? Just how much time, like they got somewhere to go. They're looking at their watch, Or the scroller now. Here it is. They get their phone and they just, the whole time you're talking to them, they're scrolling. You know, and of course, by the way, I get, you know, I get all of this during a sermon. You know, I get people that are scrolling, you know, all of this stuff. You have this type of listener, the one upper. You say something, they one up it. You've won $1 million yesterday. A month ago, they won 2 million. You know, they're just, or the one downer. They're having such a bad day, and this person has a worse day. You think you've had a bad day. You know, they're the one downer. Or there's the over validator. This person, you're going through something and they just are too much. They're not just listening. You know, I've said this before, traditionally awake, when somebody passes away, you don't have to talk, or somebody's going through a trial, a hard time, a difficult time. This person just talks too much. You know, they don't listen. And you just may need somebody that just listens. And I have to tell you, as a pastor, it's painful sometimes just to listen, because you want to say stuff, you want to over validate, you want to talk. You have to be a good listener. Then there's the bottom liner. They don't want the chit chat. Boy, I struggle with this one. I do this to people. I do it to Darcy. Darcy, I'm sorry. I just want her to get to the bottom line, you know, not do the other stuff, just the bottom liner. This person just wants the bottom line. They don't want to know how you derive to this, or they don't want to hear anything between just the bottom liner. Or the interviewer. You ever had that? They just ask you question after question. They don't even let you finish an answer till they ask you a question. Or the hijacker. They're thinking about what they want to say, or it triggers something inside of them while you're talking, and they're not listening to you, and you can tell they're about to hijack it. Or these people just do it all the time. They just hijack it. They thought it, they got to say it. Or the debater. They just want to disagree with you. You can't talk to them. They always want to disagree. Like they'll do the wondering thing, like, they're questioning you. They're the debater. Or the sentence completer. The sentence completer. You don't get the sentence out, they're completing the sentence. So you got the nodder, the eye roller, the laugher, the eye wanderer, the bored, the distracted, the watch glancer, the phone scroller, the one upper, the one downer, the over validator, the bottom liner, the interviewer, the hijacker, the debater, and the sentence completer. And I guarantee you, if all of us have multiple of those, I really, as I listen to these and as I've contemplated them, then I've seen myself in those. And, you know, Michael Aldridge says, hey, Michael, he says it depends on who is talking. And that's certainly true. It does depend on who is talking. And I think he's talking about the scale there. But these things that I'm talking to you about is types of listeners. Now, a good listener has several qualities, and I'm going to talk to you about those. But before I do, I just want to point out a couple of things. In Matthew chapter 13, Jesus talks about this subject of listening, being a good listener. And he's telling the parable of the sower, or he's telling a story about a sower to illustrate bearing fruit and what the things that can destroy you from bearing fruit as a Christian. So he tells the parable of the sower. And later on in Matthew 13, he gives an explanation to explain what it means. But he just tells the parable, and then he ends it by, who has ears, let them hear. And so he says, who has ears, let them hear, in Matthew chapter 13, verse 9. Now the disciples, they came to him and asked him, why do you speak to people in parables, or why do you tell these stories? And he replied, because The knowledge of the secrets of the kingdom of heaven has been given to you, but not to them. And whoever has will be given more, and the one who has abundance, whoever does not have, even what they have will be taken from them. This is why I speak to them in parables. And so he said, there's a responsibility. I need to get this message out and tell them these things. And he said, and this is what's going on with the people. I have these things to tell, so I tell them in parables or I tell them in stories, because this is what's going on with the people. Though seeing, though they have eyes, they don't see. Though hearing, they do not hear or understand. In them is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah. What Isaiah is coming true with these people. And then he quotes Isaiah. You will be ever hearing, but never understanding. You will be ever seeing, but never perceiving. For these people's hearts has become calloused. They hardly hear with their ears, and they have closed their eyes. Otherwise, they might see with their eyes and hear with their ears and understand with their hearts and turn, and I would heal them. So he's saying the people have ears, but they don't hear. They don't perceive. They don't understand. He says, but blessed are your eyes because they see, and your ears because they hear. For truly I tell you, many prophets and righteous people long to see what you see, but did not see it, and to hear what you hear, but did not hear it. It is a blessed life that hears truth and perceives and understands. It really is. To be receptive and perceptive to spiritual things, it has to have a trained ear to hear those things. We stick our fingers in our ears and it gets muffled and we don't hear. And we have to block out the noise in order to hear. I have this noise phobia where they really distract me. They really do. And they will spiritually as well. I hear all this noise, political noise, complaining noise, pleasure noise, all this noise. And you really have to focus because it takes much more work to listen than to speak. Listening is labor. It's what we have to do. But I also know, on the other hand, that Jesus was saying these things, and I know how this is, and you do as well. It's painful also not to be heard. So it takes labor to listen, but it's painful not to be heard. So that's the motivation to be a good listener, because we all want to be heard, and especially God. When we listen to people, it says you matter. It says that you matter. Proverbs chapter 20, verse 25 says the purposes of a person's hearts are deep waters, but one who has insight draws them out. So what's in a person's heart is deep waters, and you really have to do the things to draw them out. And I think at least a part of that is listening. Darcy and I, we have become better listeners of each other, which has improved our marriage. We had deep waters that we brought into our relationship. An example of that is Darcy's family, parents, vacation. They've been all over the world, all over the United States. My parents, we hardly went anywhere. My dad would plan a week vacation. We would literally go off for 2 days and he'd start coming back home. He was not somebody that enjoyed vacation. So I never had that. I mean, we went places, but it was to visit people in the military or visit family, and it was to do projects and work. It wasn't a bunch of just sightseeing. We didn't do that. We locked home. And so when me and Darcy got married, man, I mean, the deep waters in her heart, the tablet on her heart was, you work hard to go on vacation. And mine was, you worked hard and worked a little bit and played around and did things around the house. And it caused a little bit of a conflict. And it was not till I listened and she listened that we got understanding. We drew that out of each other. And there was a bunch of other things like that that takes place. And it says, fools find no pleasure in understanding. This is in Proverbs 18, verse 2. Fools find no pleasure in understanding, but delight in airing their own opinions. And so it's not about me speaking, it's about me listening. And it's also, we do the same thing to God. We really need to listen to God. So how to be a better listener, So I would say to you, just take through the holidays. Let's just take Thanksgiving. When you go to your family stuff, if you're a 5, try to be a 6. If you're a 10, just try to remain a 10. If you're a 1, try to be a 2. If you're a 3, I'm talking about the scale of your listening ability. And you've got some of these other things that you recognize when I describe the types of listeners. Try not to do those things. Try to improve them. So, but let me tell you some things on how to be a good listener. And so first thing you need to do is make eye contact. Make eye contact. I'm not talking about staring somebody down. That'll make them uncomfortable, but know you're engaged. I mean, at least ponder, stare off in space as you're thinking, but you're engaged with your eyes. You're engaged with your eye contact. I'm not talking about staring their eyes, but you're focused in. Use good body language. Sunday, there was somebody here at church. I don't know their name. Maybe they're watching today. I hope you are, or tonight. But I noticed their body language when I spoke. They were just like leaning in. They didn't lean back in their chair. They were like leaning in. I saw them nodding, and I thought, wow, boy, they're getting something out of today. And after the service, they came up almost teary-eyed, just thanking me. Now it hit them. It was timely. I know it's not me. I'm not saying that, but your body language, nod, but don't, nod. You're engaged. You've got good body language. They know you're listening. You could take notes. Especially if it's a lecture like tonight, or I like it. I know people that used to carry tablets in their pockets with a pen. When somebody said something, they would write it down. I've had them to do that with me. They write it down. I was like, man, they're being a good listener. Repeat back to them what you just heard. This young generation, it's hard for them to remember stuff. And so these guys that help me sometimes do projects around my house or stuff, I get them to repeat back to me what I just said. Like, go get a hammer and a Phillips head screwdriver, because they would come back with just a Phillips head screwdriver and no hammer. And I think we should repeat back to sometimes, just like, oh, you said so and so. Allow them, I've mentioned this earlier, to complete their sentence or complete their thoughts. And then ask core questions. Ask them questions. That makes you a good listener. So it's eye contact, body language, taking notes, repeating back to them what you just heard, allowing people to finish their thoughts and sentences, and just ask core questions. And that makes you a better listener. And those things also help us to be a better listener to God. Be engaged. Be perceptive. Be receptive. Hear him. Hear what he's trying to say. I'm not super good with words, and that's kind of strange to be a pastor. Sometimes I don't complete my thoughts when I'm explaining something. But, if you listen, you can really determine what somebody's trying to say. And you may have people that's hard to listen to. They don't explain things. But I guarantee you can improve your marriage. You can improve your parenting skills. You can improve as an employer by being a better listener. It will improve your life, and it will improve you spiritually. So let me read some of your comments. So Mike Bolton says, when I say I be dog, I am bored to death. I'll have to pay attention to that one, Mike. I be dog. That means that you're just bored to death. So be a good listener, all of us. It's hard for some of us. Tony Frank says it's hard for some of us not so young folks to remember too. Not me, of course, but CJ. Absolutely. That's true. I know it is. So, hey, love you guys. And thank you for listening to me tonight. It adds value. It tells me I matter when you give your chats and when you respond and when you tune in. And I know it's different. So I be dog. There you go, Mike. That's hilarious. Would you please thank Beth for pointing that out? That's priceless. That's awesome. I be dog. So be a good listener. Listen to people through the holidays. Listen to God, what he's trying to say in your life, and pay attention. He wants to tell us things. Be sensitive to the Holy Spirit. Listen to him. So be a winner, right? Hey, I hope to see you guys Sunday. I'm very excited about Sunday. I'm very excited about sharing with you guys. I love you guys. Thank you again for tuning in. I hope you have just a wonderful rest of the week. Be careful, and I be dog.